To me, there was always like the dream of like do really well in finance, and I wrote down like my goal is to make money and help the world. I'd climbed my way up through a large multinational organization. It was really about the bottom line. My lifestyle was going from my cubicle to a bar stool to my bed and back. It wasn't the best for me.
This is Berlin Crystal Kelly, and many of us can probably relate to her dilemma, working endlessly to climb the corporate ladder, but feeling stuck, uninspired. Berlin decided she'd had enough.
So then what compelled you to make a change?
I always wanted to have my own company. I decided I was only going to do it if I felt like there was something meaningful I could do with it, tie it into something meaningful somehow.
Like many young entrepreneurs, Berlin wanted to create something that valued both the planet and profits in equal measure. So she started Proud Pour, a wine label that helps fund environmental programs.
We spend about half of our money on rebuilding these ecosystems and half of our money on the wine. To me, it's really important that we start with fixing our planet. So we pay the causes first.
For the past 2 years, Proud Pour has been helping to fund the Billion Oyster Project, an organization that restores oyster reefs in the Hudson River estuary. This habitat once supported 220,000 acres of reefs before they were destroyed by overharvesting, dredging, and pollution.
Why are oysters so important to the ecosystem?
So there's a lot of benefits. One is that one oyster cleans 30 gallons of water per day. The other thing is that oysters create reefs, just like coral reefs do. So when those reefs come in, you also get the crabs, seahorses, starfish, sea bass, shrimp, everything else starts to come back and regenerate.
Naturally formed oyster reefs are dependent on old oyster shells. Young oysters settle on these old shells, and over time, a reef system is established. The Billion Oyster Project reuses shells from New York restaurants to engineer this process. These commercially farmed oysters help form the foundation upon which new wild oysters can settle and ultimately rebuild the reef.
For every bottle we produce, we restore 100 oysters locally. And in total, we've been able to restore over 3 million oysters so far. The wine was also really delicious and sustainably grown, so it fit our model, so it really worked out.
And I hear it goes very well with oysters.
Yes, it does. That was part of the idea, was that it would pair with oysters and more people would be hopefully eating oysters with this wine. I figured why not use that industry to help connect people to the local environment and make a change.
You can drink your wine, have some oysters, and feel as though you are contributing to the regeneration and revitalization of these reefs.
Yeah.
Who knew that oysters had such power?
I thought nobody really knows about this, and this is crazy, and it's so important, and it's a solvable problem.
And Berlin is hoping socially conscious millennials will help make the difference, a generation that's redefining consumerism by rewarding companies that practice social responsibility.
42% of the wine consumed last year was by millennials, but those same millennials also really care about, global issues, environmental issues, social justice. They're willing to spend more to support a company that's doing good work.
Proud Pour was recently featured on Wine Awesomeness, an online wine club that highlights distinctive wine labels and the unique stories behind them. It's this kind of support that's helping Berlin's company expand.
So what's next for you in the label?
I was just in Oregon yesterday and this weekend talking with our next winemakers about our Pinot Noir. That's going to be the pollinator Pinot. We're going to use the sales of that to help native bee species by planting 3,500 wildflowers for every bottle. I think it could really change the world.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. And to watch this episode on a young couple who gave up their conventional lifestyle to live on a bus, click here now.